So let's say your board says to you that you need to raise $1 million in major gifts this year, or they say that to you at the beginning of a fiscal year. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, where do you start? Who do I ask? Is that even possible? And am I about to fail drastically and publicly? Right? These are the thoughts that may be going through your mind. Well, today I'm going to talk about how to sort of shrink this mountain into some very, very clear steps that I know will help you be successful. So, where do I even start when it comes to raising $1 million in major gifts? That is our focus. Let's huddle up. Hey, welcome to another episode of Huddle Up with Mark, the Fund Coach. I'm Mark Duncan. In this episode, I'm going to be talking to you about something that happens often, especially if you're a new executive director to an organization or you've been through a very difficult year and your board is saying to you, you've got to step it up. You have to increase philanthropic revenue, and we want to see more of that. Now, when you think about $1 million, feels kind of abstract, right? It's a big, big number. And these kinds of goals, right, when they're big, they can create a sense of overwhelm. It could be very intimidating. And as a result, we tend to avoid those things. We put them off because they're like a big mountain in front of us that we don't want to climb. And so the first thing that I recommend that you do is whenever you have a goal, first of all, you should always know what your fundraising goal is for the fiscal year that you're in. It's not something that you should have to look up. It's not something that, oh, I forget. You should know that number. That number should be a living, breathing thing that you have internalized as something you want to not only meet, but exceed, right? Because goals are minimums, right? And so this $1 million goal, you want to be able to at least get to that, and if not, surpass it. But when you're looking at that goal, it's important to break it down, right, into what I call bite-sized chunks. So instead of thinking that you need to go out and find, a bunch of donors, you could say, look at it and say, well, I need four $250,000 gifts. I need five $200,000 gifts, 10 gifts of 100,000, 20 gifts of 50,000, right? You can go even lower, however you want to break it down, right? And I have a tool that you use to help you break that down and then identify the people that you need. But you don't need 1,000 donors, right? You don't need to go out and find. I hear this all the time. Well, if we had 1,000 people who gave $100 or whatever that math would be, we should be able to get there, right? And first of all, not everybody gives. If you find 1,000 people and then you solicit each of them for $100 in a very transactional way, you're not going to get 100% participation. So you're not going to hit your goal. I hear this all the time. Let's find 1,000 people and then we'll ask them to give $100 or $50. And that doesn't work that way. First of all, it's transactional, right? And we're talking about major gifts. And so that's important that you set yourself up for success. And major gifts are not defined by ego, right? They're defined by impact that is relative to your budget. So if your organization is $1 million budget or a $2 million budget and you need to raise half of that in philanthropic support, then that's pretty significant. But you have to give your donors permission to start at a level that feels bold, but also realistic to them. And that comes from some work in terms of working closely with them. Now, once you've created your um, giving levels, once you break it down into bite-sized chunks, now it's time to get to work. Now you need to take a look at those folks in your database that have capacity to make a major gift. Now, and you're going to be looking for your first 10 to 20. I said your top 10 or 20 names based on their capacity. Now, if you are not doing wealth screening, I say this so often, I wholeheartedly encourage you to engage in wealth screening. I'm a big fan of Windfall. Windfall is an amazing wealth screening tool. It is the only wealth screening service out there that will tell you net worth, right? And they're screening your people. They're not going out and finding folks. You have a lot of services out there that, oh, it's great. We can go out and find people. Well, if those people don't have a relationship with your organization and you don't know them, then it's going to take you a lot to get in front of them because they don't know who you are. But if you're looking at your own constituents and then you find those people who are part of your constituency who have a net worth of $1 million or more, that's what you want to lean into. And that is where you're going to find your first top 10 or 20, right? So you want to look at who's already giving, who already believes in your mission, right? These may be people that haven't given in a significant way, but you may know them from connecting with them, talking with them in some way, shape, or form, who already trusts you as a leader, right? And then you want to look for consistency. I always say, look at your loyals, right? Look at those people, and loyals are people who have given consecutively every year, doesn't matter the amount, every year for 5 years or more, 5 consecutive years or more. Look for your loyals. Look to your board members. Ask them to introduce you to people that meet the criteria of link, interest, and ability. They are the link, right? Interest in your mission and the ability to make a major gift. Longtime supporters, business owners that are connected to your mission. Yes, you can solicit your vendors, something that most organizations don't think about, right? And here's a little tip for you. If you are unsure about soliciting your vendors, I challenge you to go back and do the math and look at how much you have spent with a particular vendor over the last 5 years. And I bet you it's a significant amount. And if that doesn't give you the uh, the courage or the motivation to begin to lean in and build a relationship with them and solicit them for support, and it's not a quid pro quo. You're not going to be saying, well, if you don't give, we're going to go elsewhere. No, but you will gently remind them that you've been in business with them for quite some time. You've supported them, and you're presenting them with an opportunity to support you. That simple. Okay. So once you've identified those people, business owners, people who have said to you, "How can I help?" Right? Sometimes we don't think about dollars. We think about, "Oh, well, you can volunteer," or something along those lines, right? Or maybe you're asking them to serve on the board. But you want to be able to then confirm their ability and their capacity to give. Do they care deeply about the mission? And do they have the ability to make a major gift? And also making sure that you have defined what a major gift is for your organization. Is it 500 or more? Is it 1,000 or more? Is it 2,500 or more? 5,000 or more? What is that number? Find your baseline, your minimum amount, and start from there. I highly recommend that even if you feel like, oh, 250, 500 feels safe, I'm challenging you to start with minimally $1,000 as a major gift. And again, this is the minimum amount. And the reason why you want to do this is that you want to only spend your time with people who have the capacity to give at that level. And if you're spending your time with the right people, then the likelihood of you getting to your $1 million goal is going to be a lot greater, right? Because you're spending time with people who you know can make that difference. Now, your first goal when you start connecting with these individuals is not to ask them for a gift. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you want to start by building trust first. You want to lean into that relationship and you want to deepen that relationship with your top 10 or 20 people so that they have a better understanding of who you are as an organization, who you are as a leader. The conversations that you have are more meaningful as a result. And most importantly, it is you must listen for the things that they are saying that should give you the indication of what's important to them about what you do, questions that they ask, statements that they make. If they are someone that has used your services in the past and they talk about those, or they know someone who has and they talk about that, these are things you want to pay attention to. You want to learn what motivates them about what you do. And that is what will help you shape that relationship. Your first meeting is not a pitch. I hear this often. Oh, let's create a pitch deck. Those are great when you're going for sponsorships and you're talking to corporate sponsors about sponsoring an event, right? Or maybe perhaps you're meeting with a foundation and you're pitching them for a grant in addition to filling out the application. It could be part of the process. But with an individual, the approach is a little different. This isn't about a sale. This is about a partnership. This is about a connection. And so what you want to do is you want to use that opportunity, that first initial meeting with them, to discover what's important to them about what you do. And you're not behind, right? If you haven't asked yet. So build trust first. The ask will come at the right time. The next thing I want you to focus on is your time. Talked about this in previous episodes. You need to protect your time like it's board level work. You see, I always say only do the things that only you can do. And as executive director, especially if you are an executive director of an organization that doesn't have in house fundraising support, and you're the only one that is responsible for raising those dollars, then you cannot be sidetracked by things that are going to take you off of your path. It is important for you to stay focused and lean into those relationships that are going to be fruitful financially and otherwise down the road for your organization. So block out time on your calendar to focus on fundraising. As an executive director, you probably should be spending about 20% of your time in total for fundraising. That includes the time it takes for you to get on the phone and to reach out to people and schedule visits with them, to the visits themselves, to the solicitations, to the follow-up emails, and maybe a handwritten solicitation, that follows a conversation or follows an ask, that's about should be about 20% of your time. You should be managing the number of touch points with donors, per week. At least be engaged in 2 to 3, maybe 4 visits a week, right? That will get you on a good trajectory of ultimately soliciting the dollars that you need. Again, you don't need a lot of donors. You just need to be strategic. Okay. And then the other thing that you need to focus on is there's an internal shift that you have to make. And it has nothing to do with a donor list or a script, or a strategy document. Those are all things that are, you can certainly benefit from. A script is not something I would recommend at all because it limits you. You see, if you aren't comfortable enough, and I know you are, right? You have to be comfortable talking about your mission. You wouldn't be the executive director if you didn't have that comfort level, that passion for the work that you do and how it's impacting the lives of the people that are being served. That's what you're going to be talking about when you're connecting with these donors, but you're also going to be listening for what's important to them about what you do. And so, again, this is not about ego. This is about building a connection. This is about stewarding the relationship. Now, you don't have to be perfect. No donor is expecting perfection. They really aren't. What they're expecting is a genuine relationship with a leader who is doing good work and making sure that the people served by the organization are being served well. So you don't need to feel ready, right? You are ready. You're already ready to do this. You just need to start. You just need to begin. You need to start the conversations and they will take care of themselves. And you will find that opening to be able to make that ask to secure those gifts that you need. And gift size and the capacity of the individuals shouldn't matter because at the end of the day, these are human beings just like you are. And they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you do. They just need to know about who you are and what you do. You need to listen to what's important to them about who you are and what you do. And then present them with the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of the people that you serve. You don't have to raise $1 million in one bold moment. You raise it a relationship at a time, a conversation at a time. So I hope this has been helpful to you. The basic steps that you need to take to be able to ensure your success. And I'll just review them quickly. You want to make sure that you break this goal down into bite sized chunks. You need to decide what a major gift is for your organization. What is that? $1,000, $2,500, whatever that may be. Take a look at your top 10 to 25 donors, right? That's you're going to have more donors or prospects than that. But make sure the folks that you're starting with is a manageable list. You can make 10 to 20 phone calls to schedule visits so that you have 3 or 4 visits happening a week. And then once the ball is rolling there, then you take a look at the next 10 to 20. Okay. And begin to schedule those visits. Your first goal is not to make the ask, but it's about building a relationship with them. You want to protect your time so that you're spending your time wisely with people who have the capacity to give in a significant way, and remembering that only you can do the things that only you can do. And then finally, you've got to make that internal shift and understand that it's not about a donor list. It's not about a script. It's not about a strategy document. It's about being genuine. It's about leaning in and building that trust and that relationship and presenting them with the opportunity to change lives. Because at the end of the day, this fundraising thing, it's not about the dollars. It's about what the dollars do for the people that you serve. I hope this has been helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.